Guys, we are back working on my old car. Yes, this is the BMW E60 520D, which pretty much kick-started my channel just a few years ago. And this is of course now my dad's car. He has owned it for just over a year now, and we're going to be doing some work on it today. So what are we going to be doing today? As you can hear, the engine is running. I'm getting the oil up to temperature. That is because we are doing an oil change. So we have some Manol 5W30 LL04, the proper spec oil. I have 10 litres here, but it only takes around 5.5 litres. Then I have a genuine Marley filter. This is what they come from factory, so we'll get that swapped out. And then we also have some various different fixings, self-tapping screws and the nuts to go with them, and then various other bits and bobs as well, because if you take a look underneath, you can probably see over the other side, or maybe you won't be able to see, but the under tray is hanging down slightly. So is it a case of, you know, some of the screws have fallen out, they've rusted and fallen out, or could the under tray be damaged and maybe it needs replacing? I don't know, but we'll get onto that after we have done the oil change. Okay then, so I've let the engine run for a good 10-15 minutes or so the oil is nice and warm. I'm going to start off by swapping out the oil filter first. So first things first, remove the engine cover itself. Now we can go ahead and crack the oil filter cap itself loose. Oh, if you don't have one of these and you have an N47 engine, highly recommend getting one of these. It makes replacing the oil filter so much easier. I will leave a link down in the description box below if you want to get yourself one. As I'm releasing the cap, I can hear the oil draining back down into the sump. Yep, just let that drain away for a minute or so. And we can lift it up and away. And remove the filter itself from the cap. Just going to drop the cap back in place just while we drain the oil, and then heading underneath the car to access the drain plug itself. There should be this protective cover here that should be held in by 3 8mm screws, 8mm hex head. This one only has 2 in, so I'll get those removed and then we should be able to access the drain plug itself. Okay, so that protective cover was removed, and as you can see, this securing nut here is completely rusted away. That's why it's only held in by 2 screws, so I'll get that replaced. I do have a new one of those nuts, and then I'll install a new screw as well once that plate goes back in. But the drain plug itself should be a 15, 16 or 17, I never remember which is which. So the drain plug is a 17mm, so I'll crack that loose and get the oil drain in. Now then, while the oil is draining down, I can get the new oil filter ready. So just remove the main O-ring from the oil filter housing cap. I'm just going to give this a clean out with some brake cleaner. Okay, so the cap's now nice and clean. We'll get our new O-ring, dip it in some oil. And install it to the clean oil filter housing cap. Make sure it sits in the correct groove. I say this all the time. It's the second groove. That one there. If you put it in the one above, which is actually the threads for the cap itself, you'll get a huge oil leak. So now we'll insert the filter to the cap and then line this point here to the hole down inside of the oil filter housing. Yeah, you can tighten this down. And then torque it down to 25 Newton meters. Just give this area a bit of a clean down as well. And we can also get the sump plug ready for reinstallation. So of course remove the old crush washer, give the plug a bit of a clean. New crush washer in place. Now we'll head back under the car and get this installed. There you go, as you can see, sump plug is now back in place. We'll just go ahead and torque that down again to 25 Newton meters. Okay, so it's now time to start refilling. Before I do that, I'm just going to remove the oil filler cap. Just give that a bit of a wipe off. Not particularly dirty anyway, but I'll also do the dipstick as well. Give that a bit of a clean off. You can't beat a physical dipstick on an engine. That's what I love about the diesels. Let's drop that back in. Got our funnel in place. And now we'll begin filling. I'm going to put the entirety of one of these 5 litre containers in, because it's going to take at least 5 litres, and then we'll check the dipstick. Just give it a minute or so for that oil to drain down, and then I'll check the physical dipstick and see if we're good to start. Okay, let's pull the dipstick out, clean it off. And we're right on the maximum at that, how it is. So we're good to start. Of course, once the oil starts circulating, it gets to the oil filter housing and whatnot. We'll probably have to add a little bit more. Right, let's get it fired up. Okay, fired up absolutely fine, no weird noises. Let's switch it off and then check the oil level again. Actually no, that's a lie. We'll wait till we get the car down on the ground and it's level, and then we'll check the oil level for the last time. But first, what we'll do before we get the car on the ground is try and sort out these under trays. Okay, so the flap where the oil drain plug is, I've just replaced all 3 of those screws and retaining nuts, because the other 2 were, you know, probably on their way out anyway, so they're all nice and new now. I've also installed a couple more screws where there were ones missing. Can't get one in there though, but it's well supported anyway. But here, it's the most disappointing thing. It's actually cracked. The under tray is cracked, so if you put a washer on there, it's only going to slip off anyway. So I think this under tray here ideally needs replacing, because yeah, it's hanging down slightly, and that's just going to knock over bumps, or if you drop off a curb or whatever. So yeah, that'll probably need replacing, but the rest of it looks pretty much fine, to be honest. Okay then, so car is now back on the ground. Just checked the oil level, had to add a little bit more. It's now exactly on the max mark. The air filter, I thought I may as well give that an inspection and a little bit of a clean. There's literally hardly anything in it. I did give it a vacuum out though. With these K&N air filters, they are a lifetime part, so in theory you should never have to swap these out. When they get really dirty, then you are supposed to you know, clean it with some hot soapy water and then re-oil it. But yeah, this is, you know, like I said, it's virtually brand new, so it'll be probably next year when I go ahead and do that. Yeah, that can now go back in, and with that now back in, that's just pretty much done for today. If you're wondering why I haven't done like a full service, like the cabin filters, the fuel filter and everything like that, I do that every other year. My dad only does like very low miles on a yearly basis, so there's no point him doing that every single year. You know, the fuel filter, that was only done like 4,000 or 5,000 miles ago. Same with the cabin filters. So yeah, they'll be done next year, along with the brake fluid as well, which should be done every 2 years. I am, however, just going to reset the service interval for the oil change. I'm also just going to give the car a scan with ISTA as well, just to make sure we don't have any error codes. Okay then, so as you can see, ISTA's just doing a vehicle test, and while it's doing that, I just reset the engine oil. As you can see, now apparently has another 19,000 miles. Now that doesn't mean change your oil every 19,000 miles. On these N47 engines, I recommend every 5,000 to 6,000. Don't go much more than that, or you'll risk timing chain failure, as we well know, but also filled out the service history as well. Obviously just an oil change on this occasion, so 145,000 miles, and we can see the last service was done pretty much exactly a year ago, and yeah, pretty much 140,000 miles. But yeah, we've done everything on that occasion, so it'll probably get pretty much everything on the next one, and then yeah, we'll keep everything nice and up to date. Okay then, so apparently we have 5 fault codes in the fault memory, so let's go display fault memory, and all of them are non-existent, which is good. Let's see what they are though. Oxygen sensor, Bluetooth aerial, starter motor, LM, no message. Could have just been when the voltage was low for, you know, a brief moment. Yeah, the mileages. Oh, that's actually not the mileage, by the way. That is that's in kilometers. But yeah, as you can see, they're all over the place. So yeah, probably just historic fault codes when the battery was particularly low. So we'll just go ahead and clear them. And as you can see, we're all in the green. Perfect. Well, there we go then. Nice, easy service done on the old BMW 520d. Now let me know, guys, are you glad that the E60 has reappeared back on the channel? Like I said, it was pretty much the car that sort of made my channel a name for itself, and yeah, I definitely missed that car. It was the best car I've ever owned. I spent a lot of time with that car, and I'd done a lot of work to it, so yeah, I don't think I'm going to forget about it anytime soon. Of course, if there is anything that pops up, you know, maintenance wise or other, I'm sure we'll attend to it. Like I said, we did have to, I think we swapped out the DPF on it about 4 or 5 months after my dad bought it from me, and yeah, other than that, all we've done is, you know, the oil change today. So yeah, like I said, when it comes to next year, quite a few service items to do, but apart from that, I really don't think the car is going to require too much. You know, you guys have saw everything that I've done to it. You know, I've pretty much, you know, fixed all the common problems, and, you know, went right through the car. Anything that needed replacing, you know, was replaced. I guess realistically, the things that could pop up in the future are suspension components, you know, suspension arms, things like that. But I don't know, like I said, my dad really doesn't do too many miles, only like 5,000 or 6,000 miles a year, so it's probably going to be pretty much trouble free for many years to come. He honestly does really enjoy that car, and I'm just glad that he's looking after it. But yeah, hopefully you all have enjoyed this video anyway. Hopefully, like I said, you have enjoyed seeing the E60 back on the channel. Give this video a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!